The most important thing I've learned about simplicity is that getting things done removes mental clutter. As long as a task is open in your mind, you really can't move on, and if several are open at the same time, your productivity will suffer. If everything is being done, nothing is being done. So whenever I sit down to work on a task, I try to finish it before getting up and doing anything else. And if it turns out to be a bit bigger, I might break it down into several to-dos and try to do at least one before getting distracted. I know it doesn't always work because in today's world, fighting your impulses requires a lot of mindfulness and focus, but there are some techniques that can help you. Once you start working on your task or your mini tasks, create a sense of urgency by setting a timer. This will give you the drive to finish up your task before the alarm goes off, and it usually does wonders to keep distractions at bay. If you really want to be safe, keep a notebook or a notes app open on your desktop and write down any random distraction that comes to mind to look into later. And if a certain step feels boring or you don't want to do it right now, you can switch the different steps around so you still get a sense of completion and satisfaction from getting something done. And when you go and do that thing that you thought of, you don't feel any guilt. I like to leverage this sense of completion by making to-do lists. It feels great to cross something off and forget about it, but it also feels bad to have 10 to-dos left over from yesterday with new ones coming in all the time. That's the kind of to-do list that I used to make, and it made me feel like a failure. It's just not very realistic. Now I aim for about 5 tasks per day, or using the 1-3-5 rule, 1 major task, 3 medium tasks, and 5 minor tasks. I really like to focus on that major task being done. If nothing else gets done in the day, it will still be okay because the major task is the one that has the most significance, the one that will make the biggest difference for you. It may be the hardest one, but if you get that done, you're going to feel good about yourself at the end of the day. These 2 techniques are the foundation of how I keep my head clear and therefore my life simple. I have to know what's important to me, what has to get done, and not leave it unfinished. But to get that done requires a level of commitment, some form of routine. So it's best if you want to commit to them to have a fixed time when you will sit down, think about these things, and write them down. Your to-do list is essentially a simple form of commitment, and once you have committed to something, you no longer have to waste any mental energy dwelling on it, and you can actually move on to the execution. If you think about making plans with friends, for example, maybe you've been trying to meet up every day for several weeks and no one is really being clear about whether they're available on a given day, so you have to keep going back and forth. And it's exhausting. You're always half ready to go and you don't know what's happening, and that feels very uncomfortable. So if you want to move on from this discomfort and feel better, you have to commit. But that's not always possible. So if you can't commit, try to take some form of action instead. Tony Robbins says, "Never leave the scene of a decision without first taking a specific action towards its realization." And though that might also suggest that you buy a ticket to his next show before clicking off this ad, I actually really like this sentiment. If I can't decide on something right now, I can still take some form of action so I don't remain in the same place the next time I come back to it. I might add a tentative meeting with a friend in my calendar. I might add a weekly to-do without knowing on what day I'll get to it. Maybe send a short message to someone or create an email draft without sending it. Put some items in my cart without knowing when I'll buy them. Just do something that will get the ball rolling and get me out of this cycle of waiting and being insecure about my progress. Doing something helps, big or small. And probably the most important principle for having a simple and happy life is not doing things that you don't want to do. For example, I don't want to work a full-time job, so I'm doing everything in my power not to. I also don't like camping or drinking or junk food or anime, and I know some of these things are awesome, but I just don't enjoy them, and I try to avoid them in advance without getting into situations that me or my people, my friends, will not enjoy. And take a break. I haven't done a video in 2 weeks, and it's actually done wonders for my mental health, my productivity, my passion. To do good work, you have to have good rest. Choose your own happiness. Enjoy your life. These are my 5 principles for a simple and happy life. I hope you enjoyed them, and I'll see you soon.